Life doesn't follow a straight path. Through addiction, heartbreak, prison, and grief, we rise. From rock bottom to business success, healing, and purpose. This is the Long Way Round Show. Real stories to uplift, inspire, and remind you. The long way is worth it. Hosted by Daniel Cook. Stay tuned. We've got a powerful episode ahead.
And the suffering and all that I did to myself, mind you, self-induced. Minus some things I've been through when I was younger, but to me, it's self-induced. Okay, I went to therapy. My mom I was 7 years old going to therapy because I just couldn't deal with other children. Yeah. So there's that. Okay, but as an adult, as like I discussed with you, what finally made me stop using? Grace of God. I think divine intervention, possibly. I don't know, because I think about it sometimes, and then I go, yeah, that's not going to work for me because I play the tape, as they say. I think about, oh, no, I'm going to be under the bed. I'm going to spend all the money. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have a wife. You know, what's going to happen? My mom's going to pass away, and all she ever wanted to do, she used to say, I just hope that you get it before I die.
Morning, Cliff. Welcome to the Long Way Round Show.
Morning, Daniel, and thank you very much for having me. I'm blessed and happy to be here. I'm so happy and grateful to be here and be able to do this.
Yeah, no worries. No, thanks heaps for coming on. And by the way, it's afternoon over there, so happy afternoon, I should say.
Right. Yeah, 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Yeah. So you just had a bit of a weekend off and doing a few things with Jenna, walking the dogs. I hear yesterday.
Yeah. Well, today we took the dogs to the vet and in the dog park, and I'm off on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesdays. Oh yeah. We both work overnights. And so today, yesterday, and tomorrow, I'm off. She goes back to work tomorrow. So yeah, we spent some time together, and this is a great opportunity to do this. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been looking to having you on. Yeah, it's been great, really connecting with you guys. So, what are you doing for work that you're working through the middle of the night? You're a security guard, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I take it pretty serious. I like my job. You know, it's the first time in my life that, honestly, I mean, I cooked for several years. I was a roofer in Florida. Hot Florida, when I was like 19 to about 23, 24 years old. Hot tar, steel, you name it. So I've worked my life very hard. Yeah, never accumulated anything. But yeah, so I've worked a few years here, a few years there. Other than that, I've been floundering around, not being able to maintain any kind of steady employment. I couldn't sustain anything with my lifestyle, so I'm happy. I have a decent job. I have not even been able to keep security guard jobs. I've been doing it for about 7 years, but off and on, this has been pretty on ever since I had a psychic change. And I don't know how to word it. You can be cheesy about it. Some people say, they have different opinions on how you want to label but I've changed. Yeah. I've changed. Yeah. And I'm happy for the first time in my entire life. I am happy, and it's gone on longer than, a week or two, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, man. No, well, tell us a little bit about. We'll sort of dive back to the beginning of the story later, but tell us a little bit about how you found that happiness and how you found. You just mentioned that for your whole life, it's been, you've been working but struggling to hold down jobs and things like that, and I totally relate to that as well. It's like
I could give you a start from the beginning. Push through, like I said.
Yeah.
I started about 15 years old drinking Black Label beer. I wasn't popular in the schools. Chunky. I had eczema all over my hands and stuff, and I didn't handle it well. I had Band-Aids and stuff on, and it was very inconvenient. Made fun of for that. Being fat, dorky. I didn't gel well with kids. Kids were mean. Kids are mean. Kids could be very mean. And if I passed gas, I got so humiliated, and I was an easy target because I was so sensitive, very sensitive. You're making fun of me. I saw, oh my God, what's going on? I didn't know how to handle anything. I felt like everybody else was cool, and I was this big fat loser. So I get pushed down. When the kids one kneels down behind you and the other kid pushes. I was I was just the victim of victim. I don't like to label that now, but I was definitely the epitome of foolishness. Everybody was their target, laughs and laughs on the expense of me, except I didn't like it, and I didn't know how to change it. I eventually, all right, my dad left when I was 7. She got a boyfriend immediately, and he moved in immediately. Ironically, his name is Cliff as well. He was an alcoholic. Okay. And he moved in, and my mom, they went out a lot and left me by myself. And, I'd be scared to death in the house, somebody, thinking somebody's coming. I watched a lot of horror movies. So I know you don't watch horror movies, but that's my thing. That was my thing. So they left me and then go out drinking, come back, and it was all good. I'd be asleep by the time I get home. But I spent a lot of time scared and angry that this man comes in, my dad's gone. Now I got to listen to this guy. And then there was drinking heavily from the beginning. So he would come home and it would be a little physical. It got physical, and, he'd smack her around and spit in her face. And, it was uncomfortable, to say the least. And I hated him. I grew a hatred for this man, and as it went on through years, because 15 years they were together. So I did not deter this relationship at all, except I grew angrier and angrier. And the less I wanted to be around, I would somehow hook up with people who were drinking. And I don't want to do that because they look like they're escaping from their reality. And $5 cases of beer. I remember pushing shopping carts at 15 years old. I had a job to be out of the house, anything to be out of the house. I worked. But the problem was I ran into people who were selling cocaine or, staying out late, and they would always provide the ride, So I took to drugs and alcohol like, I don't know, like a stink on poop. I was all over it. And it took control of me almost instantaneously. I was at the mercy of the drugs and alcohol. I wanted more cocaine, and that was probably my thing for the better of 20 years, 25 years, cocaine. And then the drinking became just to come down, So it's a horror show. It's a horror show. I remember staying at friends' houses where their mom would let me stay there because my mom had a restraining order on me. Because she didn't want me around, because I would come home drunk, high, and then I would get into fights with the boyfriend, and so I couldn't go there. And I'm floundering around, and I'm rummaging through medicine cabinets, my friend's mom's medicine cabinet, taking the Cody. It's just I needed all and everything I could get. I was addicted to more.
Yeah,
more usually was cocaine, but
yeah, I relate to that a lot. Like especially rummaging through cabinets and things like that. I remember one time we were house sitting, stole the lady's Valium and things like that. Like that was just an everyday existence for, like myself and probably a lot of other addicts, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, you couldn't be trusted near any of that sort of stuff. But
no.
I gotta say, when we first started talking sort of off camera, you said, I was pretty lucky. I had a great, upbringing. And I think like, it's an interesting thing because what you just described to me doesn't really sound that great, and the reason I mention this is because I think like a lot of people in recovery or, when we've been to a lot of institutions and different things like that, we can sort of think like, oh, my life's not too bad. I was pretty lucky. And I don't know what that is, but, to a lot of people that had a stable home and mum and dad still together and, you would have been a lot of trauma and a lot of, I'm not good enough and a lot of rejection issues like that. That's not, that's not normal. That's not great. And I'm not trying to drag your parents. And I'm not trying to, it's not an excuse, but the reality is when we grow up with trauma, and when we're children, we don't know how to process. We don't know how to handle it. When you're an adult, it's great to, do journaling or go for a walk or meditate and all these things. But, if you're a 15-year-old kid, you're going through school, you're getting bullied. Your mum and dad, your mum and your stepfather are drinking heavily, and that's a chaotic environment. And like some people, go one way and they go, I don't want to be like that. And some people like myself and yourself, we turn to drugs and alcohol. And I'm not saying that's okay, but it's a reality of a lot of people. And a lot of times it takes years of healing and growing and trying to change before we can break through. And it sounds like that's sort of been your journey. So you were using cocaine a lot. And how old were we when you've probably been to many rehabs by the sound of it? It sounds like you've been on a journey. But was there like what? Do you remember the first rehab you went to and things like that?
Yeah, I do. I do. And for 1 second, if you don't mind to go back to when I said I had a decent upbringing. To me it was. I never wanted to play victim. I still don't really like the idea of anything that happened to me in the past being any of the reason why I went through 40 years of hell or 35, whatever. All those years of hell, I believe that was me. That was my choice. I liked the way that felt. And I never viewed it as an escape. I viewed it as I'm weak, I'm selfish. Like everybody else in my family thought, I don't care about anybody but myself. That must be true. And you're right. I mean, maybe, I can look back and you're right. The trauma, the physical violence in the house. I remember my mom and dad fight for custody. I was 15 years old and I got raped on a pool table in a bar. You know, that's not something I would like really generally throw out there in everyday conversation. You know what I mean? But if this can help anybody, I want to be able to be honest with that. You understand? Up until not too long ago, all the rehabs, all the psych wards. First rehab I've been to, I got the coin. In 28 days, it was brass coin. They celebrated us. It was great. Free. State run, met some friends, and we all got high out, in or out, or had people having sex at the rehab. It was a state run facility, I was grateful to be there, but I had nowhere to be at that time. I was homeless. All of these things I choose to do myself, get kicked out of my residence, losing my job, couldn't pay for my room, whatever. Rehabs I was ever at, I wasn't ready. I don't know that I knew what ready was. I knew this. I don't want to stop getting high. I don't want to stop the consequences, but I want to do the drugs. That's what I want to do. I just got to figure out how to do it like everybody else. I got to figure out how to do it successfully. We all know there's no successfully. And again, I was married. My first wife, I got married, and it was horrible. Daniel, when I tell you, this woman loved me, she had a daughter, and I embraced the daughter. We were family, but it wasn't long before my monster couldn't hide itself anymore. My demon. Okay. I could only pretend so long to be somebody that I'm not. Yeah, I had love for her, but I didn't love myself. So that love's only going to go so far. Just horror story after horror story. I remember working for Sears. I worked for, I worked at a pest control place, and I would be in the office at night, hiding, doing drugs, and scared to death that they're coming, paranoid from day one, under the bed, thinking they're coming. That was one of my worst fears, the paranoia. But it wasn't enough to stop me. Oh boy, I don't want to feel that again. Now I jump right back in. You got more? I need more. How much can I get? It was horrible. And all the rehabs and all the land were not going to do anything for me because I didn't love myself. I didn't know that I needed this as bad as I needed this. I was in denial, utter denial to the umpteenth degree, where I didn't even know the severity of my issue, even though I've been living it for 10 years. At that point, if that's on my first rehab, second rehab, psych ward, hospitals, detox, all free, because in Florida they help you. They get you to the free detox and the rehab, and in New York as well. More so in New York. They'll pay for you, and they take the time, and they're patient, and you get to eat, and it's free. And so many people don't get better because it's enabling them, in my opinion. We abuse the system, the Medicaid, the food stamps. It was great while it lasted, and I'm very happy. I'm grateful for it at the time. But I never took that time to get myself better. I just wanted to get my weight up, get back out there, and I'll be good as long as I get a job. That was not the case.
Yeah, I relate to that as well. Like, I remember a long time just wanting to, be able to work, and I always thought, if I could have a good job or whatever. But yeah, but like, just going back to what you were saying a moment ago, Cliff, I think it's a really fine line between playing the victim and also just accepting that a lot of bad things happen, and I don't want it to dictate my future, but I also got to acknowledge that these things happen, and they did have the power to, maybe change the course of my life. So that's something that I don't know all the answers, and I don't know if anyone knows the answers, but there's a lot of, I guess, self-reflecting that people can do when, they're going through that stuff. But yeah, it's a real fine line between, and for a lot of time in my own, story, I would say, oh, I couldn't read and write and blah, blah, blah. And these are excuses. And for a long time it was. So yeah, you're right. There's a real fine line between, making excuses, but also, acknowledging that we do go through things. So Cliff, you've been married twice now, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my second. Yeah. I thought I'd never get married again. This is my second wife. I believe that I will die with this woman.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and we have our moments where, we say, "What the hell are you talking about?" or whatever. But like within 5 minutes, we're like, "Baby, I love you. Come here." Like we're done with those games. And there's nobody using drugs or alcohol in this relationship. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
For me, that's astonishing.
that's
This is
beautiful.
amazing. I've ruined so many lives with my bull crap. I really have. My own acceleration of my own disease that accelerates. We all know your demons do push-ups in the corner. It's a progressive disease. Whether people choose to believe that or not, that's okay. Find
Yeah.
out the hard way. I mean, I don't. I wish everybody Godspeed, and they don't ever do anything like this. But it's a chance you take when you first have a first beer, because I do believe it's genetic. You can be predisposed to that obsession of having to need more right away. So I mean, my wife, I'm grateful I met her, and the way we met was amazing. Being the guy that delivered oxygen to somebody she was staying with, it was fun. The day we met, "What's up with you?" She says, "What's up with you?" We both thought each other was cute, and it was great. The first date lasted 3 days.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
exciting. It was exciting. And when we first met, we drank heavy together. Whiskey 30. It was always whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. I'm working, delivering medical supplies in another county, and I would go home at night, get my little Ford Focus, and drive 35 miles to go stay with her at night. But we
Wow.
used together, and it was bad for a long time. It was bad, and I got really bad. And she went to rehab. Well, she was going to go to prison, and she straightened her stuff out. You know, so we no longer ran together. But I stopped. I didn't stop to use it. She tolerated it.
So were you guys already married then, or did that come later on?
We got married. We've been married for 4 years now, and 8 years. So we were together almost 4 years before we got married.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys met. You were delivering oxygen, and Jenna come out, and you sort of just connected, and there was a real vibe, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. And then you were
Yeah.
in addiction for a few years, and then she went to. You had to go to rehab, so she didn't go back to prison. And then
It's stuck. It's stuck though with her. It's stuck. It's stuck. Well, you know what I mean. It
that's cool.
took a hold of her. Yeah.
And then how did you find recovery? Like, did you just really were you following along her journey, or did you have your own sort of experience?
Well, she was. Well, she went off to the Salvation Army. She went off to the Salvation Army, and it was a live-in place, right? Obviously, she was there for I think 6 months. The whole time, I was not doing the right thing.
Mm.
I was on work. I was on workers' comp. I tore my rotator cuff twice. I used to drive forklifts, and had an accident at the warehouse, and I was being compensated, and I was out of work. I couldn't work, you know. And the whole time that she was gone, plus longer, but the whole time she was gone, I was just partying, not happy. I was miserable. She was gone, and I would visit her every Saturday,
Mm.
like clockwork. But I was miserable. I would come home and drink myself to death, thinking I'm never going to see her again. I didn't have any mental clarity. I
Mm.
was hypersensitive, hyper delusional. I didn't, I was not in a good place. And I don't think in my lifetime I have been. Up until now, I can honestly say that I don't think that anything, I mean, I had moments, happiness, moments, but nothing sustainable.
Mm.
It was all prone to collapse at any time because I wasn't doing the right thing. If I didn't do drugs, it was because I couldn't find any.
So up
There
until
was no
now,
intentional
up,
sobriety.
up until now, what was the longest you'd been clean? So did you have a few, 3, 6, 9 month sort of stints and things like that, or
No, no. In my entire adult life, I may have been clean 6 months, but that was only because I was in a facility.
yeah, gotcha. So
On my own,
you're not.
I got 6 months. I just celebrated 6 months.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's a solid 6 months that I never go back. I can say that I will never go back. I
Oh,
just had enough. I finally had enough of the pain. Stood, finally woke up one day and realized what I stand to lose, how old I am, and what the hell's going on. And I still have my mother staying here, and she's alive, and she has dementia, but she's alive. And I don't know. We go to church and pray. I used to go to meetings and just sit there and not talk to anybody, afraid to share because I'm phony. I'm phony. I'm living a lie. I'm not really. I'm gonna leave here and call the guy. So I didn't make friends. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't feel good about myself. I would want to not go to meetings. Oh, we fought for years. You understand? I would hide in the shed doing no good.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. It's. I wasn't a man. I was a punk. I know that maybe sound a little hard, but no, it's not hard enough. That all that enabling or all that. Oh, it's going to be okay. That's bull. It's not going to be okay if you continue doing that.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of that show Intervention.
Yeah.
And that makes me cry because that's a lot of those stories. It's just that I see myself, obviously, in some of the horror stories. I was so disgusting. It was ridiculous. To me, I was. I mean, lying, the cheating, the stealing, the sneaking out at night, the drug dealers calling, coming over when nobody's around. And you know what I mean? It is what it is. But you know what? I can own that today. And I hate to talk about it. And I'm humble. I drop to my knees every morning in tears. Grateful for it. Powerful.
Must have been a really hard last few years for you guys trying to, dinner was clean and maybe you were going to meetings but still sort of struggling and still, like you said, like waiting till the meeting was over so you could go and score and things like that. I relate to that as well. I'm sure, many addicts do. It's sort of like, yeah, you're trying to do the right thing, but you're sort of, you're caught in between.
Captain Half-Ass. I was Captain Half-Ass. Captain Half-Ass. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything all half measure surveillance done, I say. I wasn't doing barely half. I'm not doing anything. I wasn't working for my own life, let alone my recovery.
So did something change 6 months ago and you just had your spiritual awakening and you felt like this?
Don't know how to decide. I don't know how, honestly, Daniel, she wanted me to go to rehab so many times. I'm like, I've already been down that road. I'm not going down that road. But then I would relapse again. Relapse is hard to say relapse. You have to have been in some form of recovery to be relapsed. I would just keep using. So whenever I would trip up again, let's call it, she would demand that I go this time. No. A couple of days would go by, would be good again. Within within a week, I was doing it again. I do not know how to explain to anybody what it was, because it wasn't doing the step work, really. It wasn't writing things down. I talked to a sponsor. I mean, I got a few days clean, a few days behind me without using, and I started feeling better this last time. I mean, I'm saying. And I had a sponsor, and we went through some work. We did, but it wasn't because of that. I don't believe, because I've been doing that all 25 years. A little here, a little there, sponsors, and then just not calling them. So what changed for me? I woke up and I had a gratitude. I was grateful that I had what I had still. And I said to myself, I don't want to give this away again. How many times have I given my life away? My first wife, my last fiance, we were engaged. That was 5 years. My first wife was 7 years. I said, I'm getting older and I don't have my health anymore. I'm about 40 pounds overweight. I've been working out. I gained some, I've lost my gut a little bit. So I'm better now. But I was 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight. I used to work out. I used to be, a personal trainer and stuff, back when I was in my 20s. And here I am, a blotchy version of what I used to be. Forget about the mental. I'm a hot mess. And something in me said, I want God. I want this. I want to appreciate this. I want to love my life. And all I have to do is stop using. And holy crap, it worked. And, the pain and the suffering and all that I did to myself, mind you, self-induced, minus some things I've been through when I was younger. But to me, it's self-induced, okay? I went to therapy. I was 7 years old going to therapy because I just couldn't deal with other children. Yeah. So there's that. Okay. But as an adult, as like I discussed with you, what finally made me stop using? Grace of God. I think divine intervention, possibly. I don't know. Because I think about it sometimes. And then I go, yeah, that's not going to work for me. Because I play the tape, as they say. I think about, oh, no, I'm going to be under the bed. I'm going to spend all the money. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have a wife. What's going to happen? My mom's going to pass away, and all she ever wanted to do, she used to say, I just hope that you get it before I die. And I would be like, I don't really know if that's going to happen. It happened, and I'm grateful, and I thank God every day. So,
what a beautiful gift from God that you were able to, get clean and start on the, obviously you tried, but now your mum would be so proud that you're doing really well, and that's an amazing gift from God. I started turning my life around before my father passed away as well, and it's a pretty special thing to spend some quality time with a loved one. Obviously your mum might live for another 10 years or whatever, who knows, but she's seen you, so that's beautiful.
My dad died 5 years ago.
Yeah,
About
well,
5 years ago, and I didn't know him. We weren't close. And I do this. I remember, the last time I talked to him, it was he could go himself, and I never got to say goodbye. That's a regret I have, but I have to deal with it and be able to move on. Otherwise, it's another resentment, whether it's at myself or anybody else in the world. Go around blaming the whole world for my inadequacies. That was getting old, Daniel.
Yeah, I get you. So what's life like for you now? What's your basic what's your program? Like everyone, there's a program and there's different programs, but I find it's interesting. Like everyone has their own, way. Some people pray in the morning, some people pray in the afternoon, some people don't pray at all, some people journal, some people go for walks. Like what helps you stay in a good headspace?
My wife and I, whenever we have time together, we get up and we move. I go to the gym 6 days a week. We're going to go tonight after she makes this shepherd pie. Cauliflower with instead of mashed potatoes. It's really going to be kick butt.
Oh, that sounds yum.
We go to the gym 6 days a week. I drag her sometimes. She doesn't always want to go, but I go. I got to go, I'm on the verge of something big here, So I feel great about things. I'm starting to love the person I am. We pray randomly. It'll be random. We'll be at the gym. Hold hands on the bike. And thank you, Father, for everything today. Thank you for waking us up this week. Keep it simple. I used to get overwhelmed. Pray. Oh my God, pray. I don't know how to pray. Oh my God. I can complicate a trip to Chuck E. Cheese. I can, you know what I mean? I used to overthink everything. And now it's just thank you, Lord, for waking us up this morning. We're thinking about going to a meeting at 10 o'clock tonight. There's one out, but I don't know. We might not go. But that's it. We're random. We don't have a specific schedule. Some days we have to take care of this. Some days so we wing it most of the time. But one thing we always do, whether we're winging it or we have plans, we will stop in the middle of anything and just pray. It's just a habit. And we don't go to meetings any specific days of the week, but we will just say, out of blue, let's go to this meeting. Let's go to, what keeps me focused, what keeps me centered, the psychic change that I have had and all the things that I have gone through or been through. I put myself through, however you want to word it. Again, no victim here. I can't stand that whole thing. Poor me. Nah. That's what kept me sick and suffering. Look what happened to me. Oh, every single day, I have a true great gratitude for what I have given away throughout my life. And the fact that I have this now, I don't want to start over again. And if that means dropping on my knees every day and crying while having a conversation, being able to show my emotions, not being held back by anyone or anything, not scared to be, I don't want anybody to see me. I'm 55. Thank God. That's because age is not just a number. Age is just a number. But where I'm at, I guess you could say I've really have had that psychic change. And I have to do good things to keep it up. I give money to people if they have no money. You know what I mean? If I see somebody struggling, I'll help them. But that's just all natural. I don't go schedule. I talk about volunteering my services. And I'm the best person I could be. They can rely on me. I won't steal something when they're not looking out of the janitor's closet. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've truly changed it. And that's a gift from God.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's a great program. Like you're doing your fitness, you're praying, you're doing work, and really doing a great job there. And those are all just really, really great, powerful things. I love the simplicity of just simple prayer. And my favorite one is the Serenity Prayer. Like I pray it heaps, like 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know why, but it just helps me. Even just when I'm laying in bed, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot. Thoughts before we sort of wrap things up?
I will say that anybody can do it. But, I will also say from when I was younger, again, not an age thing. When I was younger in my infantileness, if you will, I was 45 years old, infantile. So that's all I mean by it could be so bleak. Life can seem so bleak and hopeless, and you can feel like there's no end in sight, and there's no chance that I could ever be happy. But you can be, and a lot of people don't get to live long enough to feel that and get that, and it's sad. I was grateful. I'm grateful, and I was blessed enough to finally come out of the, the darkness, if you want to call it. I was selfish so long, and just you can do it. Anybody can do it. Put your mind to it. Surround yourself with good people. Open your mouth. Don't isolate, because isolation is the devil too. I would recommend anybody to just get friends and do things that you like to do, or that you liked to do before you became a nutcase. If you know, for lack of a better term, excuse me. I mean, I was a nutcase. That's I could say. God bless.
All right. Cheers, heaps. See you soon. Bye, guys.
All right. Take care, sir. Bye bye.
Yeah.